With loads of business advice flooding the industry, it has never been harder to see the path to success. And you can't take action if you don't have clarity. Get clear on the actionable tips and strategies that will help to scale your business here on Masters in Clarity, the podcast that brings you clarity around messaging, business growth, digital marketing, personal development, and the business owner's journey to success. Let's join our guide, the master of turning clarity into action and lasting impact, Dolores Hirschmann.
I cannot wait to share my conversation with Petia. Petia is an abundance and light activation coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so that they can experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. You know, one of the things that struck me about hopping on a call with Petia and looking forward to this conversation with her is her capacity to bring light to visionaries, to women visionaries, women business owners, and help them see how their growth and their success brings light into the world. So please don't miss this conversation with Petia, and I'll meet you on the other side. So Petia is so excited to have this conversation in this dark winter night here in Massachusetts. I know it's a little bit earlier in Las Vegas, but let's begin by talking, and we're going to laugh, as I said, about your clarity journey. How did you arrive to this moment, this interview, this sharing of your message?
I love that question so much. And I feel like clarity is something that I used to always pray for because I really thought that it will change everything. You know, clarity of who I am, clarity, why am I here, clarity, what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like, why the heck am I even here, right? And I feel like any single time that we get these glimpses of clarity, it is so life-giving and heart-opening. And I feel like most of my life, I was outsourcing that. I was looking into others, like, what are other people doing? And I tried to find myself through that. And although that is beautiful when we see it as an inspiration, when we see that as a possibility, but not when we see that as the way, as the only way. And unfortunately, that's what I was doing for decades because I just felt lost and didn't know who I am. And just everything felt like, in a fog. And so what really, really helped me to spark that clarity was realizing when I look around me that that's not the life I want to live. Because when I was, my unpronounceable name, and my accent from Czech Republic, very small town. And when I was growing up, clarity was nothing that, the word, you wouldn't even hear that, it's not something you ever talk about. But I grew up in a lot of scarcity and really feeling that I'm not enough and looking into others what to do. And when I was 18, I ran away from home and I attempted to suicide because I said, if this is life, I don't want to live it. And, as you can tell, I didn't succeed at, but it took me on this path of always running, running from home, running from myself, one relationship, another relationship, one job, another job, going to school, and always kind of externally looking. And when I was almost 30 years old, I realized that I keep asking others, who am I and how should I live? And I'm like, if I don't know how they're supposed to know, if I don't like myself, how should others? So that's when I started the internal journey. And thankfully, I found Louise Hay. And that really helped me so much because I feel like with her and all the authors that she has in her publishing company, Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Wayne Dyer, Gabby Bernstein, and many other, great authors, they gave me hope. And that was the first time that I didn't try to model someone and be like someone, but I started this inner self-inquiry from place of curiosity versus judgment. So that's how I got today,
I love that. And we're going to talk about how that turned into your work in just a second. But, at Masters in Clarity, we believe in helping our clients master their clarity. Some people say Masters in Clarity, so you are the masters of clarity. It's like, no. We guide our clients to be the masters of their clarity, because there's no such thing as outside clarity. There's outside guidance, and there's outside maybe what I call thinking frameworks. But it's almost like there are containers in which you can dig for your clarity, but you bring the ingredients. There's a lot of recipes out there, but you bring the ingredients. Each one of us bring the ingredients, and then we mix something with those ingredients, but they have to come from within. So I love the journey, and as we were just kind of chatting before the recording, that the clarity journey, I call it the clarity journey, but there's usually not a lot of clarity in the journey until the end, right? There's a lot of sometimes darkness, confusion, or a glimpse of clarity, and then back under the wave, and so on and so forth. But you've been able to find your light. I mean, I think, as you said, in 18, you walked away, you left, and you run away from darkness, whatever that meant. It meant your home at the time, but it was darkness, and you've been able to find and walk and step into your light. But you didn't stop there. So how did you turn that journey into your light to what I understand is helping women walk, and step into their lights? Because I think there are 3 steps: journey, walk, and then own it, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that question so much. And I feel like that's where it all has to start. It has to start with the own embodiment, right? What we are desiring to see in the world, we get to become that. And that's how I was able to transmute the darkness, transmute the pain, transmute the suffering in something more meaningful, because I wanted to believe that there is more to life than what we are being told or shown or conditioned to. So I became the embodiment of what I wanted to see in the world, who I wanted to be as a woman, as a leader. And then I started to have people, and this is like, almost a decade ago, when they started to tell me like, oh, I feel so good around you. You have such a good energy. Me, decade ago, I'm like, what are you talking about? What energy, So it's like starting to noticing and being open for how people are seeing you. They can recognize what you cannot yet see in yourself. And then I was able to bring it into my business, into my life through podcasts, retreats, because I realized that I'm not the only one who is feeling this way. And the tools that I'm using, like for clarity, for empowerment, to live the fulfilling life, creating the abundance, I don't have like some secret that was given just to me and I lock it behind the door. It's something that can be shown. It's something that can be thought, but not by telling, but by showing, So first you become the light, and then you become activator. That's what I became, in my business, activating other people. And I just became the one that I needed. I became the one who is bringing the hope. I'm the one who is bringing the light. I'm the one who is teaching how
you wish you had met when you were 18.
Exactly. And if I would probably not who I am today, right? I was asked, earlier today on an interview, what would you tell your 19-year-old self? I'm like, there are things what I would tell her, but I wouldn't tell her to change anything, because then I wouldn't be sitting who I am in this place.
Yeah. And I think that's a good reminder for whoever is listening that might be going through the darkness. You never know when you meet people in their journey, is that who was that said, if everything's falling apart, if everything is as bad as it can be, keep on going, right? Keep on moving forward, because every step you go through that darkness is closer to your life, to the light. So let's talk about, I love to give my audiences some kind of tangible, actionable things to take away, because it's very nice to talk, high level of get into the light, but what the heck? Like, I'm in the darkness, girl. How can I surface above? What can I do today for 5 minutes, 3 minutes? What I call micro strategy, a micro action that will get me past. And maybe for some people listening to us, Petia, maybe it will help someone survive today.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that, because, sometimes you're listening to like podcasts and you feel motivated and they're like, well, good for you, but what do I do? Right. Yeah. So I don't want people just to feel inspired and motivated, but really having something that they can do about their life. So 2 things that really helped me to create an immense clarity in my life. The first one was getting very clear on what are my core values. And it doesn't matter how many times you have done core values exercise before, you're a different person today than you were a week ago, yesterday, right? So what really helped me was take a big piece of paper, divide it in 2. And on one hand, I wrote down the things I don't stand for. And on the other side, what I do stand for. So for example, I don't stand for hate, I stand for love. I don't stand for being cheap, I stand for generosity. I don't stand for cheating, I stand for loyalty. And sometimes it's easier for us to say, what do we don't want than what do we do want? So write first what you don't want to see in the world. What is aggravating you? What is upsetting you? What is frustrating you? What hurts you? Like, I'm happily married now, 5 years with my husband. But before that, I had a narcissistic ex-husband who was cheating on me, ex-partners who were cheating on me, who were hurting me, physically. So I knew what I didn't want. I wanted someone who was loyal and loving and family oriented and all of that. Like, I put it on the paper. Then you write 20 things on each side, always like the opposite of each other. And then you take a highlighter or colored pen, and you highlight the 3 things that you stand for, that it's like non-negotiable for you on the right side. And when I look at it, I saw that I stand for loyalty and generosity and growth, which is nice. But then the next step is the most important step. You have to take an inventory of your life. Because when I look at my life and I ask myself, do I live in a growth mindset? Do I live in generosity? Do I live in loyalty? Or am I accepting or settling or something less than this? And nothing in my life reflected that. So of course that I was feeling stuck. Of course that I was feeling, depressed. So little by little, I asked myself, what can I safely change? Because it's not like, hey, screw this, I'm out, I'm divorcing, I'm leaving my job, I'm moving to Hawaii, right? Like, that's your dream, go for it. But we don't want to change and turn everything around, like quitting. We wanted to ask ourselves, what can I safely do to change this today? And I left, I wrote a little note of my 3 core values, and I put them on the mirror, in the bathroom, in my office, in my wallet, everywhere, because you get to recondition your mind and keep checking in with yourself. So this was super, super important tool. And it is still very important to me. And I do teach it to my one-on-one clients, because if you don't know what you stand for, you fall for everything.
I love that. And, I love what you said, transformation is not about living your current cocoon, dumping everything, the husband, the kids, the dogs, and the job.
I'll probably keep the dogs.
And moving to a new reality. I think the deepest transformations are those can be initiated and expanded from within, and that through that internal transformation, you don't only change your world, but you change the world around you. And you can change a marriage, you can change the relationship and the experience of your children. You can change a job that you hated into something you love without ever quitting or changing the actual context.
Yes.
I think that's beautiful. So what is the impact you want to have in the world when all is said and done?
When all is said and done, I want to be remembered as someone who created generational healing and world-changing abundance. I truly believe that when great people make great money, we can make immense impact. And I really feel like it's time that we shift and really change the balance of where the world is heading. And I feel like there's so many amazing, beautiful people who are so gifted, and they just don't know how to create abundance because they were never taught, never shown. They lived in scarcity. They were taught about money, things that are not true. And so I truly believe that when we can create abundance for people who are soulful and heart-centered, we will change the world. And that's my legacy. That's when I leave.
I love that. I love that. So what do you have going on in this year that is just starting?
Ooh, so exciting. So we focus of this year, it's for me, like on a personal life, we are intending to grow our family with my husband. So that's like, for me, that's most important, as women, like, for me at least. So that's like really on the forefront of my heart. And the second, with our company, we used to do retreats and a lot of events in person, which with the family, all of this is shifting, and we are focusing on creating online experiences. We did last year Soulful Success Experience. We launched our book that became bestseller. So really focusing on creating abundance, and we are going to be launching Academy and Mastermind, all of them online. So those are the things that I'm truly looking forward to, because we are empowering leaders and visionaries how to create more abundance and more impact.
I love that. I love that. So what is, you've mentioned the authors and the writings of Louise Hay. Is there one special book that you would say, if you haven't read anything, start with this?
It's interesting, but I feel like the Universe Has Your Back from Gabby Bernstein really, really, like, I feel it was the first book ever that gave me permission to not push, not to hustle, to trust, surrender, allow. And I feel like that really changed my view on the world and gave myself permission to breathe.
I love that. It's to stop running away.
Yes.
To stop running away. Any parting thoughts? And then share with us, where can people find you?
The one thing that I wanted to say also, it's, you said that sometimes we get to change, like from inside, and the outside can change, right? And it reminded me of a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer, which says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that really breathed a life into me like a decade ago, when I was still like in a place that I don't want it to be. And I feel like when you look at things differently, the world will really change. So instead of trying to change your circumstances, try to look at the things first differently. So that's what I would love to leave people with, because really helped me tremendously on my journey. To connect with me, the easiest way is on my Instagram, my website. Both of them are Petia Kolibova. I know Dolores will put it in the show notes. Nobody can ever pronounce it. They're like, P what? So
it will be my Instagram, and you can follow it all there.
Yeah, so those are like my two favorite places, plus my podcast, Unapologetically Abundant. That's where I reside. That's where I teach. That's where I thrive.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Petia, for spending time with us from this place of that you've brought to the world, is this container where you help women come home. But it sounds like you ran away for many years, and you have been able to come home to you, and now make home for a bigger family, which I can see it's happening already. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know how many times you listen to a podcast and it's all about how great the guest is, or the grand things that they've done. And while Petia is all of that, in this particular conversation that we just finished with Petia, it's really all about you. And she breaks it down. She breaks down a very, very simple exercise that it won't take you more than 2-3 minutes to do, that could change everything for you. So go ahead and listen to the recording and do the exercise. It'll take you less than 5 minutes, but it might change not just your day, not just your week, but it might change your life. Don't miss it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Masters in Clarity. If you loved today's show, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Share this episode with 2 people in your world, and as a gift, go to mastersinclarity.com/free to download free clarity resources. Join your host, Dolores Hirschmann, next time to continue forging a clear path to your impactful success.